Bernard. She's a 6'2" center in the building, right? I don't know, it's Rachel. It's formerly Rachel Bernard. But we coach some really elite tall players. Some of the best players I've ever coached are 5'4", 5'4". Okay, Corey Monster was a teammate of Rachel. I think you guys crossed up 1 year. Okay, Corey Monster was a 5'4" defensive specialist that played for us at Michigan State. She was probably on par with being the best volleyball player, or one of the best volleyball players I've ever coached, right? I think I buy into a statement that says the mind is the athlete and the body is the vehicle of getting that athlete around, right? So if that's true, if you buy into that statement, right, you can actually take your group that are really great athletically from the neck up and kind of train them into being very competitive with teams that maybe are a little bit more visible, right? So what we're going to talk about is some of the things that we would do in our gym if we find ourselves, with a team that was really, really short, small, inefficient, okay? I'm going to start with a quick story. We started a long time ago, doesn't matter, a year. I was watching a 14 and under volleyball team play. They had one tall kid. This was a Division I prospect that all of us as coaches were looking at back in the day. She was 6'1" and 14 years old, playing on the left side. Ultimately went to the University of Florida. An elite player at 14. Not hard to recognize that as a recruiter. She turns an ankle in the semifinals of the qualifier. She's their only big kid on the roster. Coach has a decision to make. Calls timeout. Puts out short game and DS for her. That kid is 5 feet 4 inches tall, roughly. She is not the same player. They lose set 2 because they have her trying to play left side. And she goes in there, she's trying to be the 6'2" attacker. She's trying to be the substitution for that player that's out with a sprained ankle. And so they have her trying to play the exact same way in set 2 when this happens. She's trying to block the other team's hammering balls over the top of her, right? She's all over the place with her off-blocker defense. She doesn't know where to go. She's not really been prepared for that moment. Different coaching aside, right? She wasn't prepared to do that. So set 3 comes around, the typical set game for 14-minute volleyball, especially at the USA level. And what they did with her is they allowed her to play back row the entire time. Okay? They allowed her to be a second lead row. Okay? Now, they had somebody playing in the front row that they couldn't set because she's technically a back row player, but they decided to say, okay, if this short kid is really, really good at being a defender, why don't we have her be a defender all the time? Okay? And so now they took this thing that kind of was like, oh my gosh, we've lost out on having this 6'2" monster attacker out there. And they said, you know what? We're going to flip this to be our advantage. And at 14 and under volleyball, they decided to really, in essence, play with 2 liberos. Right? They've got their true libero out there on the floor, and they now take Shorty Bang Bang that's out there for the 6'2" left side, and they decide we're going to have her play back row for 6 rotation. Who won that match? Well, it's a story I'm telling at a convention. So I'm telling you that the Shorty Bang Bang ended up coming back. They slaughtered the other team. But the point of that is they stopped trying to make the 5'4" attacker be the 6'2" attacker. They are different players. And they were not using the skill set of the player that got subbed in to the maximum ability when they had her try to play like she was 6'2" or replace that player. You can't do that in your gym. Okay? So what they did is they said, okay, you have to think outside the box. And I thought it was really great coaching, especially for 14 and under. There were some cluster moments. It wasn't always perfect because the kids were trying to figure it out on the fly. But I thought really great coaching in a big moment to say, how do we take our people and put them in a situation where they can help us win? Okay? And that's different for everybody, right? So if we stop trying to play like big teams, we need to know some of the things that make us special as a short player. Now, I'm not going to go as far as saying short kids are all better at these things than big kids, because you're either good at volleyball or you're not. But if we have the right short kids, we can put our training into certain things that allow us to be successful. Okay? So the first thing for me that I would work on a ton is we have to win the first contact. And if we've got a team of Shorty Bang Bangs out there, we have to be better at first ball contact than anybody else. Okay, and when I'm talking about first ball contact, I'm talking about 3 things. I'm talking about our serve receive. We have to serve receive well. If not, we just picked a bunch of short kids that also can't play ball. That was a mistake. Should have taken the tall kids. Okay? But if we've got short kids that can pass the ball, we've got to be great at that. Okay? One of the things that's going to help us be successful is that we have to stay in system. Okay, if we stay in system, our setter, who's probably also very small, can now be working defender or working the attack to make sure that they have to defend all 3 of us as attackers instead of just one of us. If it turns into 1-on-6, probably not advantage us unless we have a really dynamic undersized attacker, which they exist for sure. We've got to make the first contact, okay? First and foremost, that's serve receive. Number two, that's defense. Okay, we have to be more gritty than anybody else in the entire gym. Okay, we've been talking about grit in our gym a lot, in our program a lot, and we have a phrase that said if you're gritty sometimes, you're gritty never. Okay, gritty is not a sometimes thing. You are either all the time gritty, or you kind of rise up sometimes when conditionally it feels important to you. Okay, but if we're going to define ourselves as having grit, we need to have grit all the time. Defensively, we've got to get after it. And number three, we've got to be probably really aggressive from the service line. Okay, that's another first contact that we have to be really good at. Okay, if you had a chance to listen to Zach Henderson, who's an assistant coach for us, we talked about serving. We're going to start there. Okay, there's 4 elements of serving that I think we need to be really good at. And I find that players come to me and they say, I want to serve tougher, so they think to themselves, I have to hit harder. Now that's one element of serving harder, or one element of serving tougher. But by no means is it the only way that we can serve tougher. We have 4 metrics in our gym that we use to decide whether or not a serve is tough enough. One is the speed, or the velocity of it. More importantly, we want to vary that velocity, short and deep. We talk about it as the yo-yo game sometimes. We want to make passes that can defend all 3 lanes. Okay, number 2 is we talk about trajectory. Trajectory, how low to the ball can we serve the ball to the tape? The lower we serve it to the tape, the less time we give passes to react. Okay, number 3, we talk about hand contact. Okay, our ability to put a good float on the ball is relying on our ability to get consistent hand contact on the ball. Okay, and number 4 is location. Okay, the ability to serve the ball where we want it to go. If we're trying to get the slide hitter off the runway, we might be able to put a short ball in there. We have to master these 4 elements from behind the service line to put ourselves in a position to gain an immediate advantage in the rally. And if we can put you back on your heels by having you pass balls high off the net, we know that the shorty bang bangs on our side can dig our way out of problems. If you're in system, we have to battle against your 6'1" middle blocker, or your 6-foot outside hitter, or your good jumping right side, we're probably in a little bit of trouble. Okay, so we have to take some chances from the end line. We have to take some chances from the service line. It might mean that we miss. I care less about missed services than I do point scoring. Okay, we talked about that in serving over in the other gym. Okay, you're either point scoring or you're not. In doesn't equate to point scoring at every level. If you're coaching the 7th or 8th graders, in probably equates to point scoring a lot more than at the varsity level, where in means, okay, you're initiating the rally. Okay, but I would rather take somebody that's helping us score points, even if they miss once in a while. Okay, let's see. Let me get, if you're 5'7" or below, I need you down on the floor. You're going to be my shorty bang bangs. I need 6 shorty bang bangs. All right. Come on, we're going to teach you guys how to hit. Just be able to play. You're good. Oh, man. This is my dream squad right here. Steve May, where are you, Steve May? This is for you, Steve. We're doing the short kids. All right. So, we're just going to be by position if you got it, kind of like middle, left, right, doesn't matter which position. But give me 3 in the back row, 3 in the front row, and any extra people you can go on the far side. Okay? So we're going to talk about blocking, right? People say, how do I block with short kids? Well, it's not nearly as good as if you're blocking with big kids. But the other thing that we want to get out of our head is that tall equals good blocker. Okay? Big blockers are not necessarily good blockers. They're just big, right? And I'm telling you, I was at practice this morning with my squad. Big does not equal good all the time, right? So we want to be good blockers, and we want to get out of the head of our team that big equals good. Good equals good, right? So we need to do a phrase that we use in our gym with our short players a lot called block your zone well. Okay? And what that means to us in our program is if we've got an attack, Steph, let's say is the attacker, you guys come over here. Okay, you guys are kind of hip to hip. We've got a shorter block, but what we want to do with our block is make sure that we're protecting the vulnerable part of our middle of the court. I didn't even tell these guys what their defensive lineman is. They kind of know basically if they were an adult team what they would do. This is a vulnerable area of the court for us. So if the only thing we do as blockers is protect this area of the court, okay, we put ourselves in a position where now 4 dynamic defenders can dig everything else. Okay? So what we want to do as blockers, okay, we want to be hip to hip. Okay? So we can still be good with our feet. We can still be good with our timing. We're not going to put our face over the net and be a soccer blockers, right? We'll be blocking with your esophagus. If you got one of those, call me. I'd like to know about it. right? But we're going to be really short with our block, okay? We might have to roll back our hands and soft block, okay? Soft block is the idea of kind of rolling our wrists back, so as we're jumping, we kind of get the wrinkles in the back of our wrists. We still want to be tight to the net, we still want to be disciplined. We don't want it to turn into players just being like, I don't know, I'm short, like, you get what you get, like, that's just a bad blocker, right? And if you're bad, just say you're bad, don't blame it on being short. So make sure that your fundamentals are good. We roll back our hands with the wrinkles on the back, and what we're really trying to protect is Steph's ability to hammer this ball into the center of the court. We feel that if we make her drive the ball around our block, there's very few blocks out there that are so small that a really good attacker can go and hammer a ball into the center of the court over the top of the block, because more balls kind of cross the net between the top of the net and the second right than anywhere, no matter how tall your team is. That's really playing at like 8-4, right? That's not unreasonably high for even your shorty bang-bangs to disrupt in that space, okay? But changing their perspective about what their goal is in blocking is really important. And if I'm training a team of short people how to play, I'm rewarding those things because too many coaches or too many fans only reward stuff blocks for points. So I've got to reframe what good blocking is for a shorter team. Anytime they keep the ball out of the center of the court, they force it down the line, they force it deep at our other talented players, we've got to be able to give them a thumbs up. Okay? Let's see kind of what that looks like. All right. I don't have a box, so this is going to be challenging, right? So we've got here, okay, you can go ahead and go for it. All right, ball here. Oh, good, good timing. Okay, ball here. Okay, good, I got the touch. Okay, now what did Bree did, which young undersized players do? What was wrong with Bree here? You're still a good person. Net violation, right? So shorty bang-bangs in the front row, they typically try to do too much blocking, right? They're fighting so hard to get an extra half inch because they want to prove to you how much they can play in the front row. Coach, don't give up on me. I can do it. I can play with the big kids. I can do all these. And they just do too much, right? It's not about being a big blocker. It's about being a good blocker. So blocking our zone well has to be a message that we're giving to our undersized players because they try to do too much to play with the bigger kids, right? And just opening up that idea of like staying in your zone, block your zone well, and earn us an opportunity to defend has got to be really important. Now, what happens when we're playing against a stud middle blocker? Okay, they're in the system, you don't serve that tough, steps up here, and she's just pumping the middle on this side. And Bree is just, man, she is getting torched as middle because she's too small. What's our answer to that? Just open-ended question. How would you defend against that? You've got a team of shorty bang-bangs, and you're playing against a kid that's going to Notre Dame, and she's off the good.
Make the center play defense.
Dig it. One, put a helmet on. Okay? What else? What else is our plan?
I'm going to make the setter play defense all the time so she can't run her.
Wonderful. Okay, we'll get there a little bit later, but anytime we can get the ball on their setter, we eliminate that first quick ball attack. And you've got to know where your outlets are. We're going to talk about what we call pickleballs in a second. Okay, but putting that ball on their setter probably eliminates that ability of that first contact. What else? You guys are coaches. We're getting killed in the middle. You're going to what? Yeah, we're going to go for it from the service line, or we're going to try to disrupt with our serve. We've got to take some chances, even if it means we miss some. Okay? Anybody else have any outside the box thinking? Oh, that's what I would do, right? So now, I got to show you, I got you on my staff, right? So we've got an in-system ball. We might have to take some blocking chances, right? So now, what we mean by committing is if that ball comes over and they serve me, it's a dime pass kind of thing. Right? So it goes right to target. Okay, our big middle blocker, we might have to take some chances and jump with her before we know that they set her. Okay? The big issue I think with undersized middle blockers is not that they're incapable, it just takes them longer to kind of get up to that operating height. Some of them have really great vertical touch, right? But their ability to get up and Bree's jumping and committing, right? We now know that she can probably get more likely to get hands on that ball, slow it down for us, right? We're going to serve tough. Those would be a couple of things that I would answer them. Now, if I know that's part of my strategy, what as a coach do I need to practice every single day to get better for those moments? What do you think? If that's my strategy, if that's what I'm thinking, what do I got to get my team prepared for or else they're going to be shot? Solo blocking, right? So if I'm going to take chances with my middle, I'm thinking to myself already through practice, I've got to put my team in a position where we're going to have to dig around the solo block. If Bree's jumping on the middle and they set somewhere else, we're going to have to dig our way out of the problem, right? And so in our gym, we would spend a lot of time going against our one-on-one block, right? We would spend a lot of time digging that ball, preparing for those moments, and trying to get our team to understand that these are inevitable moments that will present themselves. But we're prepared for it because we go one-on-one all the time. Now, if we don't have a middle that's crushing balls, we're going to kind of try to double block and try to create all of those opportunities. Okay, but we want to do those kind of things with our blockers all the time. What else can our middle blocker, in particular, Bree, our middle blocker, have to be really good at? If she's going to try to play with the big kids, what does she have to be really good with? Penetrating, but also her eyes, right? Her eyes have to be really tremendous to kind of eliminate big girl, middle blocker here and get to the next attacker. So some of our more cerebral players out there are going to have to be in the middle so they can make good choices and get out and double block as best they can, right? We're going to have to use our brains and be better, because if from the neck up we are the athlete, we've got to be a better athlete than the big kids on the other side. We've got to outwork them in that regard. Okay? Now, from a blocking standpoint, we're going to have to give up perfection, right? Sometimes somebody will go up and hammer a ball, and we have to have that next ball mentality, and we've got to be ready to erase that a lot faster than some teams do. Because if we're just like, we can't win, she's too big, you've already lost. You might as well get on the bus and get home early, right? So you need to have the right short kids out there that are saying, all right, let's get another chance. What are we learning about this play? Okay, now any questions about blocking or kind of what our blocking plan would be? It's imperfect, but we would spend very little time on blocking in our gym. It's just not going to be point scoring for us. Okay, we'll make sure that we're organized, we'll make sure that we have a plan, but we're going to spend time doing way other things that are going to help us win matches. Blocking is probably not one of them. Okay, and we'll just not necessarily give that up. We want to be organized and we want to be on the same page, but only as it complements our defensive effort. Okay, any questions about that? Now let's talk about offense, right? So if we're going to be a short team, okay, and I'm going to ask our short mates, what do we have to be good at offensively to put ourselves in a position to win? I'm sorry? Finding holes, right? The ability to exploit what another team's bad at defending, right? We talked about it earlier. The ability to get the ball on the center is a good example. The ability to kind of hit the ball down the line if they're running a man-up defense. So we have to have a lot of tricks in our bag as short things that are attacking, right? We have to have a lot of ways that we can get ourselves out of trouble. Because if we try to play like a 6'3" kid that's going to Notre Dame that we just go over the block and hammer the center of the court, we're probably going to get blocked pretty often. Okay, so there's a concept in our gym that we use, and then this stupid sport came along called pickleball and a broom. But we've been calling it a pickleball for like 20 years. And for us, it's a pickleball is a ball that we put into play that tries to put the other team in a pickle, right? It's not a ball that we're trying to hammer away at, but we're trying to make it difficult and play chess, so to say, within the rally later on. Now, I think you guys know all these things. This is not a new concept. This is maybe a different title for it. But where are some good spots that we need to train every day to be able to hit the ball? That would be good pickleball spots. Deep corners, pretty good spot. Give me a defensive alignment over there. Kind of like, let's get you guys up in the net like you're blocking. So we're going to exploit your defense here. And let's have you stay maybe a little bit more centered. Okay, so we're talking about the soft spots of the defense. That's okay, you're playing defense right here. Okay, so the soft spots are going to be here in the deep corners. We would agree, right? This is a good spot that we're making two people move. What's another good spot that we have to get really good at attacking? The campfire, right? The donut, the cheese. What else do we call this? Duluth, right? Duluth in the center, right? That's it, right? But the middle of the court here, right? The exact area that we're saying we're trying to prevent the ball from being pounded into, we probably have to have a good use of kind of our tools so that we can roll balls around a bigger block and put ourselves in a position where that ball's just right in the center. Go ahead and take this ball. Ready? All here. Up. You get good at it, right? And it's a tough ball to play, right? We know it's coming, we know what's going, and we can still make it difficult for them to play the ball. Fact of the matter is, a well-executed pickleball is just tough to deal with, right? Even if teams know it's coming, it still puts them in a tough spot to have to scurry, to be able to put a ball high, eliminate the middle, and we get a free ball out of that that maybe we can put ourselves on the runway. As small attackers, we probably benefit from being on the runway more than big kids who have physicality and we just jump up and try to beat the ball around our block. So earning the ball and knowing where the soft spots of the defense are have got to be really important to us for the team of short kids. What's another spot? We talked about the donut. We talked about the deep corners. Right behind the block, dig this ball. Ball here, up. Good ball right there. Dig this ball again. Ready? Same ball, short ball. Right? So, the yo-yo game. That's really good by my middle back to be able to range over there. But the ability to kind of have both of those balls that complement each other. She digs the first ball, and I learn information. I have to learn information. If I'm going to win as a short kid, I better be using every single opportunity I have to play to get information that I store in the back of my mind to score later. Okay? I'm going to give you another one here. Okay? So dig this ball. Here we go. Up. Good. Now dig this ball. Ball here. Come up. Good. Pretty good play right there. Okay? Ball here. Up. Ball here. Ball here. Up. What do you think?
I think that's a great hit.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, but the idea is that, and I just use this analogy with an athlete in our gym, and I use a golf analogy. She's learning how to play golf. She's going to this class that she's going to in Scotland for business and golf, which is a really cool class, right? I don't think that exists when I was young. Okay, but I talked to her, I said, in order to be a good golfer, you better be making sure that you're practicing all of your clubs in your bag. If you go to the driving range and you just hit the driver every day, and you're just like, yep, this feels good, that was fun, you're probably not going to be a very good golfer, right? You have to practice your shots every day. As a small team, we have to understand where the soft spots in the defense are. Now, what happens when a team plays a different defense? Let's go over to this side. Okay, you guys are blocking. Let's say we play against a team that plays like a man-up defense or something like that. So I'm going to orientate, let's say you're behind the block, and you kind of rotate a rotational defense, and you come over here, and you're there, and you're kind of over in this area. And let's say they throw a different defense at us. Oh, crap. We just practiced all these deep balls. Now they got somebody pretty much in the corner. They've taken away my tip. The donut, yeah. We have to kind of we have to give our players outs of like, hey, how do we play against this team? So where are the soft spots of this defense? What do you think? Yeah, this ball is really tough. Over Bree's inside hand is a really good ball. And it takes your off blocker off the runway, right? Left sides, they don't like the defense. Okay? Left sides don't like the defense, especially in the front row. They want to get on the runway and they want to hammer. So we want to take them off the runway. A good pickleball either eliminates the attacker or eliminates the setter. Okay? Either one is going to be pretty good for us. And in a sense, we say that if we put the ball in the center, we've eliminated the middle blocker by most cases. Okay, ball here. Bang, bang. Soft spot here, right? We have to get good at these kind of balls, right? Because this is what's going to make other teams move. If we just keep driving balls to 6 or 5, we're going to put them in a really tough spot. How do we get better at these balls? Well, we've got to work on them every day, right? This has to be part of our training. If we're just going to hammer balls on a hitting line and try to hit it really hard so that we prove that we can play with that good kid from Notre Dame and try to prove a point, we're wasting time. We have to play differently in order to win. We have to. Otherwise, we're going to be going head-to-head with people that have better strengths than we do. Okay, so from an attacking perspective, we might be working on those pickleballs that get us out of trouble, get us out from behind the double block where we're kind of behind the eight ball, so to say. Now, let's say we stay in system. Are we just going to tip and roll balls the entire time and expect to win? No, I hope not, right? Hopefully we've got some tricks in our bag. We might use, if we've got the setter and the players to do it, we might use some tempo to our offense to try to disrupt the bigger block on the other side. What I mean by that is we might go a little bit faster to the left side or right side to try to create an advantage of, hey, your bigger block can't get out and close on our smaller kids. Right? Now, that takes a certain level of skill that we have to develop, and you have to have the players to be able to do that. Okay, if you've got, Edward Scissorhands up there trying to run your offense, like, going fast to the pin is just going to be, you're going to be home by 7. That's how it's going to go. You're not going to win very often, right? So you got to understand your personnel, and you've got to make sure that you're in a situation where you're putting your attackers in a situation that they can help you score, right? A phrase I love as coaches, it says we can't do tactically what we can't handle technically, right? So on paper, it might be perfect, right? We might be like, yeah, let's run fast. That's how we're going to win. We're short. If you don't have the players to do it, right, you can't win the derby on the donkey. You got to have some horses, right? And even if they're little, you've got to put yourself in a position where they can kind of, be in a situation where they can help you score points. So keep that in mind. Speed could help you score points if you have the players that can help put you in a position to do that. Okay? As far as attacking, you want to try to hit some pickleballs? You want to try to hit some? Let's see how this goes. We call these pickleballs. Steph's going to chip in a free ball. Okay, your goal is going to be to set the Let's go defender, defender, defender. All three of you guys. We'll get you guys playing some ball here. Okay, your job right now on the left side, your name? Okay? Your job is going to be to roll the ball into the center of the court. But if you were at my last session, you're allowed to give a pop quiz and make sure that our players aren't cheating. Okay? People are laughing because they saw the pop quiz, right? So you're going to make sure that our players are kind of staying at home defensively. We'll see no more perimeter defense. But your job is you're going to try to roll the ball into this zone and make it really difficult for us to hit a dig to a set. If we can dig it, you're going to send it back over to the other side. Okay? And you're just going to send it over on two, and we're going to set back again, try to see if we can't get it into the center. Okay? Go ahead. Try another, try another. Come on, short people. Do it for all of us. Alright, there you go. Okay, so things we can do also to practice this. We might take our attackers and we might have our attackers. Can I give you that card of all step? Can you zip it over here? We're just going to get a bunch of people. Kind of all 6 of you guys come on over here. Here's what I want you to do. This is just one way we're going to do this. I like to mess around with this kind of stuff when athletes are walking into the gym, they're getting their shoes on. You're literally going to do what I was doing before. You're going to toss it to yourself. You're going to roll it over the top. And you're going to try to have good hand contact and roll this ball right into the center of the court. So you're going to do just like this here, reach high, and roll that ball into the center of the court. We would just have players as they're entering the gym, as they're getting in from kind of like putting their shoes on. We're just going to be working on some of these elements. Go ahead, just toss, roll it into the center. So easy hand over the top. We're trying to drop that ball. That's a good ball by three. Something in that 10 feet, 12 feet version. And we're trying to go dead center of the court. Right? This is just one way that we might work on all of these things. We might ask each player to do 5. It's self-initiated. Right? I talked in my other session over there about using some video feedback. Right? There's an app on my iPhone or on the iPad that we use a lot, and it's called Video Delay. Kind of looks like that. I'll show you. If anybody's curious, it's $7.99. It looks like that. It's kind of like $4. That's my daughter. She's adorable. Okay? But it's like $7.99. You can put it on an iPad. You can sync it to a TV. You don't have to do that. If you have an iPad, you can put this on delay and have your athletes working on all of these things. Okay? Shorty bang bangs. Let's go high to the one zone. Okay? So now we're going to change our focus. We're going to go high over the top. Okay? We're trying to go deep. Oh, that's a good ball right there. Hell yeah. We're winning when she's on the team. Okay? Deep balls into the corner. We're trying to take the middle back, have them range into that corner. Okay? Deep, deep, deep. We can open hand and tip these balls and push it nice and deep. Okay? Let's try that. Let's try a few of these, right? So we're going to go. Okay, we can use an open-handed tip. We've got to be able to use all the tools in our bag here. So we got an open-handed tip. We reach high. We firm up our hand from all the way from the fingertips to the elbow. We drive through that ball. That's how we're able to push this ball all the way back here. And we push this ball all the way deep into that corner with an open hand. Now we're up. We're behind that block. We can push it deep. We can roll it. We've got a ton of tricks in our bag. Okay? And this might be something. If this is, go ahead, you guys can keep going. If I've got left sides that are 5'4", 5'5", 5'6", right sides, middles, we've got to get good at these things, right? Otherwise, we're home by 7. Okay? Because we've got to be winning. We've got to be making the other team defend all 900 square feet. Okay? Next thing we can do, this maybe is a little bit more advanced. Okay, let's go over here just because we've got the left sides over here. Steph, can you toss for me at the net? You cool with that? Okay. You guys are going to be left sides on the far side over there. Okay. We're going against the. This might be a little bit more of an advanced skill, but I think short players have to be better at these kind of skills. Okay. We're going to toss balls. If I can have you step forward a little bit, we're going to toss balls that are a little bit tight. They're going to be tight on purpose. Okay. Your job is to try to hit the green blocker and push it out of bounds. You can hit it. You can roll it. You can tip it. You can push it. You're trying to hit this green blocker and push it out of bounds. And the noodles were here when I got here, so why not use them? Okay, so let's see that. We get 2 steps to the ball, and we try to push it off the outside end of that blocker. Okay, the number one way to dig balls would be the most frustrating attacker to play against. And I tried to be this kind of player when I had an opportunity to play. Is be the biggest pain in the ass attacker that there is, right? And in order to do that, you have to find ways to kill balls that make big people super frustrated. This is the most frustrating ball for them today because they're like, why is that happening? So putting a noodle up, very simple. They're not landing on anybody. We might go through here, and again, depending on the physicality of your athletes, it doesn't have to be something that they're, super tall. Get their feet close to the plant. We jump up with all of our push. We try to push it off the hand seal. Okay, other things we can do. Now let's change up our focus a little bit. Okay, we're going to put these blockers kind of, we're going to put them a little bit closer here, stepping, coming out the side of the microphone. So we're going to kind of put these closer together. Now your job is you're going to approach, and you're going to try to go high off of these, the top 3 inches of these, and you're going to try to hammer balls deep into the court. Okay, now, in our gym, I've got some big physical athletes. I'm trying to get them away from just hammering and hoping for the best. Okay, that's not a good strategy. To just launch it at the clock and pray for a touch. What a terrible strategy that is. But it is really good strategy to hit deep, heavy balls into the 28 feet zone back here. Okay, let's give up the bounce ball. Okay, the bounce ball is for other people. We're worried about scoring points, not winning the beauty pageant, right? We'll worry about we're lifting a trophy at the end of the year. And I don't know if Birch Run is here. Is anybody from Birch Run here? Okay, Birch Run came to our team camp over this summer. They are this team. They're this team is before. If you played against Birch Run, they got like 9 players that are like this tall. And they are really good volleyball players. They're really well coached. I would kudos them if they were here, right? But they dug well, they served well, and they had a couple of high-flying left sides that just took some big risks. But a couple of things they are good at is being on the runway, so you're going to take a 2-step approach, 3-step approach on moving out all attackers. Our goal is to hit the top of these blue and green blocks. This is a pretty cockeyed blocker right here. Looks like one of my blockers. Okay, so we're going to put them in a situation where we're going to allow them to take risks. Okay, we're going to have them take risks with getting this, but we want you to drive the ball that hits one of these 2 antennas, or one of these 2 blockers, and tries to stay in the court deep at 28 feet. So that's your goal. Good job. Good. Keep working at it. High and heavy. High and heavy. So we want to give up the ability to hammer these balls straight down into the center of the court. We can help score a lot of points if we're willing to go high through the zone and drive. That's a good ball. High through the zone, okay, and hitting that blocker. Okay? Now, if we're going to start using the block as a way to score points, what do we have to spend more time doing in our gym? What was it? Somebody again. Block coverage. We better be good at block coverage. Because nothing's going to spook our littles into being safe as attackers more than getting blocked and then be thinking, I don't know what to do, she's too big. We have to empower them to take some big swings. Okay? We have a phrase in our gym, around the now, my 6'4" left side. And we have to tell her all the time, we have to risk it for the biscuit, right? That's the only way we're going to score points. And we have to put ourselves in a position where we're willing to take some chances, even though at times it means we're going to make errors. We have to empower athletes to take those swings. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I got rid of you guys for a second. Okay? But things like this in our gym, working around the block, now let's change it from the high heavy ball outside the court. Now we're going to go over the top of this, and we're going to try to roll the ball into the donut, right, or into the fire, or the, what do we call it? The nude, into the center. All right, so now we're going to try to get there. We're going to roll over the top of the block. Now we're not trying to hit the block. Okay, if you use noodles in your gym, how many people use noodles in your gym? Okay, it's a really good, cheap, effective way to get the same jumps on blockers. But I do think when you're using noodles in your gym, you have to get your athletes to understand what the noodles represent. Can they hammer a ball through the noodles for a kill? Yeah, they feel real good about that. You're like, yeah, I got that noodle. Well, the noodle's going to be blasted through, right? So whenever we're using noodles as blockers, we're trying to avoid them at all costs, right? Because they're too forgiving. And they give our athletes feedback that's like, yeah, this is working. It's not working, right? Wait till Notre Dame girl gets her hands on you, because she's going to crush it, right? So we have to be working the high parts of the block, over the block, around the block, okay? And so identifying, and go ahead, you guys are good. Sort of bang, bang. Okay, snaps for you guys. Good for you, okay? So you have to put yourself in a position where you're working all of these things on a daily basis. Okay, we only touched on coverage, but we have to be really good at coverage. That's what's going to free up our attackers to be those high-flying kids that are a lot of fun to coach. Okay, I always found myself kind of loving coaching those undersized players that have a chip on their shoulder. Unintended, I guess. Okay, but we have to make sure that we're picking the right short kids. Okay, when we're doing tryouts, what are some things that you would value in a kid that's short that would be like, this kid maybe plays bigger than their stature? What are some things you're looking for at the teaching? What are you looking for at tryouts that identifies a good short kid from a short kid?
Platform fast speed.
Fast feet. What else?
Anticipation.
Volley IQ, right? Their ability to see the game, think the game. What else? Competitiveness, right? Man, you get the right short kids and they just wake up in the morning pissed off, ready to prove something wrong. You know you got the right kids and they're fired up about losing like 3 triples, right? Like, you got the right kids, right? Finding those competitive kids that just don't stop is really important, right? And how we figure that out, I think, is through our tryout process, through failure, right? Failure recovery is a big part of what we're doing. But shorty bang bangs have to be relentless. They have to be the grittiest players in our gym. Again, otherwise they're just short kids. I say to DSs all the time, you're not a defensive specialist if you're not good at defense. Like, I don't say that to mine, I say that to the kids I don't take. But they've got to be kind of like in. Let's not all be offended, right? We all know it's true, right? Defensive specialist is you got to be good at that. You've got to be great at that. You've got to stand out at that. Otherwise, you're just a small kid that's being identified by a position. Okay? Now, I think buy-in. I think that's the last thing. You've got to get your group to understand that we can win this way. And it's got to be a badge of honor of the way we're winning. And we can take down really big teams if we've got a mentality that says we can. Okay? And if you're already Jersey watching the other side, oh, she's really big, probably have already lost, right? So people that kind of keep that hope. And those would be things, if we had a shorty team, and I wish in some ways there was like a 5-8 under division in volleyball. I think it would be a really fun level to coach. Okay, but those would be things that we would be thinking about if we had a team of shorty bang bangs, and you guys don't get to choose from a national group like we do. And there's difficulties with that sometimes as well, bringing people from all over the place. You get to deal with who walks into your gym when you guys are doing tryouts. But I think it comes from us as coaches. If we're looking at a team of short kids and kind of saying, like, guys, you're already kind of self-handicapping against big teams. Hey, let's just score 10. Let's go for 10. Well, you'll probably get 10, right? But if you pick the right kids, you might be in a better spot to shot some of these. I'm not saying it's a magic answer, but these are things that we have to work on every day to be good at those things. Okay? Any other questions, or what questions do we have for, what are some of the things that you're dealing with in your gym for the shorty bang bangs that you're like, I can't figure this out? Let's brainstorm together. What else? What do we got? Please.
Okay, so I know we kind of talked about serving a little bit, but some of my girls, I work with them, so some of them are just really short and petite, and I really want to keep that with reserve.
Yep.
Not really sure how to help them find that. It's they're swinging hard, but it's contacting or it's costing or I just don't know.
So we got servers in here struggling, even just putting the ball in the net.
Yeah.
I challenge people all the time. I realize this is not my world. I don't coach that young age, and I get to choose people. Fight for overhand serving. I think it's just so important. I think that if I could get on a soapbox, we would never have a 7-year-old boy that's playing shortstop roll the ball to first base because he's uncomfortable throwing it to first base. We would never let that happen. I don't think we can pigeonhole, especially our young women, into being like, hey, you can't. They can, right? That doesn't mean that they will just because you tell them that, but I think that we have to empower them. So I am completely anti-underhand serving. You do whatever you need to do, but I think that our job is to kind of prepare them for what's next. We would never let a little 7-year-old boy shoot free throws underhand because we would modify the game so that they can do it correctly. I think that's our job as coaches. I get it. I don't coach at your level, and it's really heartbreaking to have a kid fail over and over and over. We want to have them see success. So what can we do in our gym to help them find some of that success in the short term? Well, we can put them at the 10-foot line, things I'm sure we've all tried millions of times, kind of backing them up. Okay, we can, I heard somebody in the other gym was talking about a really great motivator. Oh, great. Your name? Sarah. Sarah was sharing this in our serving. So one of the things, and I'm paraphrasing, ask Sarah if you've got questions, but they put kind of candy and hula hoops on the other side, something like that, I'm paraphrasing. If they go for it with an overhand serve, even if they miss, they can run over and grab a piece of candy?
No.
What was it? They had to make it.
They have to hit, there's 6 hula hoops up, and they have to hit the hula hoop to get the candy.
With an overhand serve. Okay, so it's just kind of enticing them to go for it and take those risks. I think that's just a really good thing that just says, hey, going for it is one of those things. And again, keep coaching them up. I know that's easy for me to say, but I think that keep working with that. It's not a matter of strength. It might be a matter of coordination. It might be a matter of skill. It might be a matter of reps. but it's not, I mean, a 7-year-old kid can put the ball over the net with good training. We just have to keep at it. And I think I remind our athletes, I got 18 to 22-year-old people, that before we get good at something, we will suck at it. And we have to be okay with that. And most people aren't, right? They suck, they feel self-conscious, they miss a serve, they put their head in their hands and they say, don't make me do that again. I just think we have to empower them that that's just part of the learning process. If anybody's looking, I'm getting turned off. If anybody's looking for a really good podcast, Trevor Reagan does some really good stuff on the learning module, training athlete, zoo tigering, things maybe you're familiar with, but does some really good stuff in that realm. So I would say stick with it. I know that's frustrating, but I would say stick with it.
I have a technique that I use for the little kids is after I back them up,
Yep.
I have them throw the ball over, and usually the mentality of the kid who's throwing a ball over changes the mentality of trying to serve it up. So usually 8 out of 10 times if a kid can throw the ball over, I said the same method that you use to throw it over is the same one I want to see you swing it with. And normally they get it over.
Yeah. I think that's really good feedback. I think, and then just reporting. These are all things you're doing. I don't want to feel like, yeah, just tell them that. There's no secret sauce there, but I think that just sticking with it, kind of celebrating what they're doing well, making sure that their fundamentals are right, and then just keeping them as part of the process, in my opinion, is a better thing. And if keeping them out serving during a 6-on-6 drill in front of everybody, maybe that's where they're at right now. And somebody else maybe, like Zach was talking, like maybe they get subbed in after they serve while they're preparing that, and that's okay too while they're preparing that. So, what else? Anything else?
Yeah, I got 2 questions. The podcast is who?
Trevor Reagan is his name. I think it's R-A-G-A-N. It's close.
And my other one is we talked about how to get teams to buy in, like the shorties. How do you get a specific player to buy in to that role or that position? If that makes sense.
Are you having them play a position they don't want to play? Or I guess what?
I had, example, last season I had a girl who will never be a middle but wants to play middle, is super short.
Yeah.
I need her to buy into pass. Like that's where like her role is. How do you get them to kind of realize that and push them in that direction without crushing them?
Trying not to say this as a jerk, but I mean the option is either you play in the middle or you sit next to me. What do you want to do? And I feel like sometimes that's the opportunity. We have a phrase in our gym that says, in order to get the role we want, we have to nail the role we have. And I think that's a good example of that. If the opportunity is presenting itself in the middle, whatever. If that's the role you have right now, you're trying to earn a bigger role, you want to play left side, you want to set, you want to do whatever. Sometimes that doesn't always help out. Sometimes the best kid in the country is right in front of you, and you're the second best kid in the country, you don't play. And that happens sometimes. So I feel like that's a message that we give to our athletes. And if she doesn't want to do it, and I'm coaching a team of shorty bang-bangs, I probably got a shorty bang-bang that wants to do it. So I would maybe invest in that kid. That's not trying to be crass to that player, but I think you'd find that she's buying in on day 2 after she sits on day 1. Man, I hate the back row attack, but that's me. I'm not trying to convince you to not doing it. It's the load. Division I women's volleyball hits negative on the back row every year. It just isn't a good bet. I think that you've got front row players now as a way to manage balls, as a way to hit the balls. I'm not saying if you don't have a really good attacker, every one of us coaches our teams a little bit different, but I just think Division I volleyball attacks negative on it. We don't even block the back row attack. We coach Division I volleyball, because teams air themselves out at a rate that's obscene. They see no block, they try to do too much, and they hammer it out, or we just practice defending against it. So it's not a part of our offense. That doesn't mean it can't be a part of yours, especially as an outlet. But those kind of things, I think, I'm not a super big fan of it, but I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm just trying to justify why we don't buy into it. We would rather kind of set an honest system ball to our pin where they can navigate the net and try to score different ways. But again, to each their own. But if you've got a really dynamic attacker, it doesn't mean that there aren't good attackers. I just think teams don't typically block well. Just like some teams triple block. That's the dumbest thing in the world. Yeah, we can talk about that later. Any other things? I know we're running long. I appreciate it. Well, if you want to talk about short kids, let me know, because I love kind of coaching up these kind of kids. If you haven't grabbed your sandwiches, grab your sandwich. I don't know.